Hey, I'm Claire Solomon, Akashic Records practitioner, business strategist, and astrology and human design nerd. And this is the Kinda Cosmic podcast, down-to-earth chats about out-of-this-world stuff. We'll talk Akashic insight, astrology, star seeds, cosmic intel, soul purpose, and all the strange, beautiful ways the universe shows up in everyday life. No fluff, just real talk about being a soul in a human body. Well, hello, and welcome to the first episode of this whole new podcast thing. And let me tell you, this has been one of those university things for over 2 years now, with signs and whispers to start a podcast, and it just started getting louder and louder. So I just got my mind out of the way, and here we are. What are we doing? Who actually knows? But thank you for coming along for the ride. I did actually want to touch on the what and the why here up front, but I do have a question for you. Have you ever had one of those weeks or months where the universe feels like it's texting you non-stop, blowing up your phone with 1111 everywhere, or like you're hearing a song that you've not really paid much attention to before, but suddenly those lyrics feel like a message for your soul? Or you're trying to make a decision about something and you overhear like two random strangers in the supermarket talking about the very thing that you've been feeling pulled to explore. I call these shiny dots. Things like glimmering and catching your eye that are clues to your next step. But where like the universe is universing to the point where it's like funny or scary or ridiculous or unbelievable or all of that at the same time. And yet you're over here like, this is freaking magical, and I know there's cosmic things at play here, but like I still have to unpack the dishwasher. And that's kind of the space this podcast lives in. The magic is in the mundane, divine order meeting everyday life. So when I say kinda cosmic, I don't mean we're like levitating over our problems and throwing a random love and light meme around, none of that spiritual bypassing stuff. I mean, we are noticing and realizing the magic was always supposed to be woven into the mess. We get to hold both truths, incredible mystical awareness and the grocery list. Kind of like wearing glittery sneakers. I'm a huge fan of sequins over here. Sure, they're sparkly and magical, but they're still made for walking through your actual life. That's the kind of vibe. And you know, we knew this whole plan before we zoomed into Earth, you guys. We signed our soul contracts, planned out pretty much the whole thing, who we would meet and why, who would help guide us from the other side, the timing of our careers, of our travels, many major events in our lives. But we also signed a little box on there that we would agree to forget the whole plan. Maybe remember sprinkles of it as a young child, but definitely forget the bulk of it very soon after. Earth is the only place in the universe that can fast track our soul evolution because it's so messy, right? Because there's polarity here, there's light and dark. There's plenty of opportunity on the daily to be knocked off balance here so that we can re-find our center, our truth, and our purpose. On a soul level, it's bloody perfect. It's the perfect place in the whole universe, which is why you're here, by the way. Your soul agrees. And in my Akashic work, I'm shown that Earth is like the most exclusive nightclub in the galaxy, with a line that wraps around 10 planets. Souls are desperate to get in here because of the mess and the mix of light and dark and the pure opportunity to create, to bring the ideas we planned in the stars and wrote into our soul contracts into physical reality. to have a chance to be stuffed into a meat suit, our body, for a while to see if we could remember the plan we made for ourselves and then actually be able to do it. To have a body, to have a voice, to have technology, to have community, and literally everything we could need to fulfill it. Sounds easy, right? Incorrect. Earth is the Mount Everest of spiritual evolution, also why it's quite popular, right? And it is effectively a school, a place to learn, grow, to stretch and evolve and grow wiser. But every school still has a playground out the back, right? And that's what I hope these little chats can be. A space for you to tap back into your magic, to notice those shiny dots. They're the clues to the plan you forgot, by the way. To consciously tune into the brilliant design of the universe and to remember why you came here. And to maybe just do something about it while you've got a body. People often ask me how I even got into all of this in the first place and whether I've always been a woo-woo spiritual gal. And the short answer is yes and no and yes and yes and no. I talk about my personal spiritual awakening in the book Soul Rising that I co-authored, that I will link below, and I'll be sure to do a full episode on it. But the short version is I've been kind of cosmic for a long time, certainly since before it was cool anyway. And to be honest, it wasn't some lightning bolt epiphany. It's kind of always been there. I was just that weirdly serious kid who asked too many big questions about stars and deja vu and auras, and I could see energy and patterns in things while everyone else around me seemed to literally not care about any of these things at all. Then one day when I was 14, living in our little country town in Australia, I found this astrology magazine at a newsagent. It was one of those builder binder kits. It was the 90s, where the first issue was $2.99 and they got progressively more expensive. But that was it. I was hooked. Each week had new information, new things. It had tarot cards, runes, Greek mythology, you name it. It was this whole big metaphysical kit. But astrology at that time became my first shiny dot, that first thing that made my brain go, wait, maybe there's more to what's going on here. Maybe these questions I have answers. Then fast forward a decade or two, I did the whole corporate thing you're supposed to do. Tried to be normal, worked in advertising, traveled, we had our first baby, and still I couldn't shake the feeling that I was meant to be doing something way less ordinary. A few classic dark nights of the soul later, those kind of things that make you rethink your whole life, I finally stopped pretending that I wasn't wired in this way. And I followed that very next shiny dot, that thing that was calling out to me, and I found the Akashic Records. And I entered this period of deep-ass metaphysical study and realized this isn't just an interest or a hobby. This is who I am. And accessing and reading the Akashic Records was and is so easy, so fun for me. And it turns out I've had many past lives accessing them and being an astrologer in a cape. So I'm so glad I followed those little cosmic puzzle pieces in this life to arrive where I am today. I'll tell the full story another time, but that's the short version. It's curiosity into corporate trying to be a human detour and then a cosmic homecoming. Basically, I stopped ignoring the weird and the wonderful, and this whole human thing started to make sense. That's why I started this podcast. I'm hoping each episode will be a little thought seed for you, something you can listen to on your walk, while cooking dinner, hiding from your kids in the car. We can play with letting the mystical interrupt our plans and trusting that it's redirecting us somewhere better, right? So I'll leave you with this. Did you notice any shiny dots this week? Any little winks from the universe? Any little whispers, little nudges? Anything tugging at your attention, even if it literally makes zero logical sense whatsoever? You have absolutely no time and you have to unpack the dishwasher. Go write that thing down. It's your first clue. Chat soon. And that's it for today's Kinda Cosmic Chat. Find more soul-aligned guidance at clairesolomon.com.